Hello everyone and welcome to my thoughts or review, whatever you want to call it, for chapter 16, the last chapter of Knights of the Fallen Empire. And I'm a little tired, been playing this all day since I woke up and now it's almost midnight, but it's a good chapter. It's definitely one of the better ones. I did have some worries about it and they didn't come true. I thought it would have some of the symptoms that other chapters did, being a bit too boring, having a little too much filler, trash between important sections, boss fights that are neither challenging nor interesting, and this one does everything better. It speeds up the not so important sections, and the final boss fight, the Arkham boss fight, is not disappointing actually. I mean, it's still not very challenging, but at least they made it interesting, they made it a little bit fresh with the special abilities that you get. I like how they represented it in gameplay, the choices you made on Odessen when you crafted a weapon. First off, if you're not wielding the weapon you crafted, you don't get any special abilities. And depending on which of the two, Mar or Satil, helped you craft it, you get a different set of abilities. So that was cool. As well as the shield, although kind of OP probably. To think how many knights had these shields and if they could only use them to such extent. But anyway, overall the chapter was good. Almost all the characters had their little moments, felt important. I suppose the only characters that didn't were the ones that were left behind at the very start, like Jorgen and Kaleo, but they had their own chapters plus one where they go together, so it was fine. Now, there were some things that happened and were just way too convenient without any explanation that I think could have been explained, like especially if you go dark side. By the way, I did like the chapter better as light side. I think the dark side wasn't so good. And I guess I'll mention it here. So the first thing is about Koth. Now, if you went dark side, Koth is probably not with you. He has left in previous chapters. And this one, he comes back. And he literally just shows up in the middle of a scene without any explanation. Goes to the ship, Scorpio is trying to take over or whatever, and he pushes a button and solves the whole situation. If he didn't leave, it sort of makes sense. It almost seems like a good scene, like a good moment for Koth to shine. But if he was kicked, the scene feels so weird. No explanation how and when and where he got there. And what's even worse is at the end, it turns out that not only he's in the ship, but his entire crew, his cohorts, they're also in the ship, and they have managed to take hostage, basically, the entire crew while you're away. And they kidnap, hijack, steal the ship. And yeah, that's why I say the dark side is definitely worse in my opinion, because of that whole Koth fiasco. And also, the very last choice, shooting Senya's shuttle with Arkan, nothing happens. You just set the ship on fire a bit and it still makes the hyperspace jump. So I think maybe you should have wound Senya a bit or just something that had more substance. And how did Valen not only escape the exploding ship but also ended up in the throne room? And there you go. So the only thing which, I suppose that's not a negative. That's more of a mystery / negative, as in if it's not properly resolved in future content, it will be a negative. Scorpio and her motivations and her relations to the Gemini droids. Now, in the end, she flat out says that her main reason for doing all that, taking over, was so she could liberate her children. Right? She calls them that, and they call her mother. I don't know what to say about it. Now, we went from thinking that they are copies of Scorpio to then thinking that they are, let's call it, cousins of Scorpio, sharing the same origin, to now children of Scorpio. And did they notice? Because they're calling her mother. Is that something that they started? Did their relationship to Scorpio develop in that way in between the moment where she took over and the epilogue, or did they know all along? Were they playing along? Were they trying to trick us when we met them and they didn't know who Scorpio was and what she was and all that? And something else about her motivation. Why did she want to kill us so badly? I suppose you could say that she saw us as a threat to achieving her goal. Like maybe we wouldn't want the Gemini free, and that's why she preferred to kill us than risk us foiling her plan. But the problem is that she wants to kill us just as bad after her plan succeeds. Like, what did we do to her to deserve that? And how did Valen deserve to become her ally? She allies with Valen to basically destroy us, or so she says. Maybe she's deceiving Valen as well. I don't know, but like I said, this whole thing is a rather big mystery that deserves a proper unraveling. Now, I suppose I should talk something about what's coming. I don't know what's coming. A new expansion is coming soon, apparently. It would seem that in it we will go against Scorpio and Valen. That's all I know. I mean, I haven't done much of an investigation about it, so you probably know more about it than I do. What I worry is the business plan for the expansion. If they go for the exact same one, in other words, releasing the majority of chapters, well, let's assume that there will be 16 chapters, okay? Because there may as well be 16. Who knows? If there are 16 chapters, I hope that they release the first like 8 or 9 or 10 first, and then later on they start releasing one by one each month. So that way I think it will be worth subscribing, and especially I'm subscribed on 2 accounts. If they get overcome by greed and they decide to start chapters one by one from the 1st to the 16th, then that's a deal breaker. I'm gonna be unsubscribing my second account in a blink. And to be honest, if it wasn't for the videos, I'd probably unsubscribe the main one too. I mean, I'll probably subscribe like once every 3 or 4 months, because if you're only playing for the story, and currently I am, subscription for an hour, if not less, per month is just not worth it. So I hope that they go for a bunch of chapters first and then one by one. But seeing as how soon it's coming, I fear that that's not what they're gonna do. Unless they had started developing way early. We'll have to wait and see. So post in the comments, tell me what you know about this, if you do know anything, and about the chapter in general as well. So I think overall, Knights of the Fallen Empire was a good endeavor, a good expansion. It had ups and downs. It is, in my opinion, a little too expensive if you're only playing the game for the single player experience, and I hope that the future expansion will be just as good. Maybe they've learned from this one. I'm curious to see what they do, and I certainly hope they're gonna go for a good business model and not an extremely greedy one. So that was it. Thank you very much for watching my whole coverage of Knights of the Fallen Empire from chapter 1 to 16 with all the classes that I made. Thank you very much, and I will see you guys in the future videos, and hopefully in the next expansion. Until then, stay tuned and be good.